生生日快乐！大家好，欢迎回来。If you are struggling to learn Chinese, you are not alone. I have been struggling for years, but I want to do something different this time and share my journey with you on YouTube. Each episode, I will share with you new characters and words that I've learned and make up funny stories and sentences to practice. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next lesson. Here are the characters in this episode. The first character is yin. Yin is the sound of a musical note. And the way I remember yin is that the character kind of looks like a musical instrument. Word example using yin is 声音, which means sound or voice. So my voice will be 我的声音. Another word example using yin is 口音. 口是 mouth, so sound from the mouth. 口音, this is consonant. 我的声音有口音吗? Does my voice have an accent? Let's make a sentence example using 声音 and 口音. Let's talk about Dr. Lee, my favorite doctor, and I miss him very much. I miss Dr. Lee's voice. He has a beautiful voice, and I noticed that his accent is very nice. So let's translate that. 我想李医生 I miss Dr. Lee's voice. 的声音，他的口音很好。Let's turn on the 拼音。我想李医生的声音，他的口音很好。Banana. Second character is 乐. 乐 means music. Now the challenge with this character 乐 is that it can also be 乐, which means happy. So the only way I remember this is that 乐 meaning music, and music generally makes me happy. So 乐, happy. The trick is knowing when it should be said as 乐 and when it should be 乐. So let's have a look at some word examples. So if you combine yin, which is sound or musical note, together with 乐, what do we get? 音乐. We get music. So if you're learning music, you say 学音乐. And if you are a musician, then you would be a 音乐家. Musician 是音乐家. So let's make a sentence using 音乐 and 音乐家. I think Dr. Lee and his family are lovers of music. So let's say Dr. Lee and his family loves music. His son is a musician. Nice. Okay, so in Chinese that would be 李医生和他的家人 loves. I don't know how to say loves. I know love is I. Oops, wrong I. I. Maybe to say 很爱 loves very much. Music 音乐. His son is a musician. 他的儿子是一位音乐家. Let's switch on the 拼音 and read that back. 李医生和他的家人很爱音乐. 他的儿子是一位音乐家. Now, a family that loves music must be a very happy family. So the way to say happy using 乐 would be 快乐. 快乐 which means happy or joy. 快乐 is usually used to wish somebody like happy birthday or happy anniversary or happy new year. So 李医生生日快乐 means Dr. Lee, happy birthday. If you want to wish someone happy birthday, it's 生日快乐, 生日快乐, 李医生生日快乐, Dr. Lee, happy birthday. Another good example that you can use is 李太太母亲节快乐. 李太太母亲节快乐, which means Mrs. Li, 李太太 happy Mother's Day. So 母亲节 is Mother's Day, and we're wishing her 母亲节快乐, happy Mother's Day. The next character is quite challenging. Jiāo or jiāo. Jiāo teach, or jiāo, teaching or religion. I found this character very difficult to learn how to use because it is very close. Teach, teaching, teacher, they're all kind of very close to each other. So the only way was to look at the words with jiāo and jiāo and put them in a sentence to see how to use them. So the first word is jiāo shu. So this is the first tone, jiāo, jiāo shu, which means to teach. The second word example is jiāo shui, using the fourth tone, jiāo, jiāo shui, which means teaching. So you see it's kind of close. The only way to figure out how to absorb it was to construct a sentence, which I'll do in a minute. The last word example is jiāo shi, which refers to the teacher. In this case, the teacher as in the job, the teacher job. So here is a sentence which I had constructed earlier when trying to figure out how to use 教书, 教学, and 教师 all together in one paragraph. So I'm going to read that out and then we'll try and figure out what I'm trying to communicate with this sentence. 我的朋友是北京大学中文教师，他很爱好教书中文，他有20年教学经历。So let's break that down. Let's have a look at the first sentence. 我的朋友 So my friend 是北京大学。北京大学 we learned in the previous episode 大学 is university. So 北京大学 would be Beijing University. 中文 we learned in the previous episode it refers to the Chinese language. 教师 teacher. So my friend is a teacher. He's a Chinese language teacher in Beijing University. So here, 教师 refers to my friend's job as a teacher of Chinese language in Beijing University. 他很爱好教书中文. He loves to teach Chinese language. 他有20年教学经历. 经历 is experience. 教学 teaching. So he has 20 years teaching experience. 我的朋友是北京大学中文教师，他很爱好教书中文，他有20年教学经历。Next character is 师 which means teacher or a master. So the first word example is 教师 which we just covered, which refers to the teacher as in the occupation. And the reason why I'm repeating 教师 here is because I want to be able to differentiate it from 老师 which refers to the teacher, the person that you address. I wanted to highlight it this way because I often confuse when to use 老师and when to use 教师. So 教师 refers to the occupation. A few minutes ago, we just heard that 我的朋友是北京大学的教师. My friend is a teacher in Beijing University. Whereas 老师 is how we address the teacher. So here's an example. Hello, Teacher Wang. Would you like to eat a plum? 王老师 Teacher Wang. 你要吃梨子吗? Oops, I forgot to say hello. 你好，王老师你好，你要吃梨子吗? Oops, this 梨 is incorrect, so let's fix that. There we go, that's the correct 梨. 你要吃梨子吗? Another word example using 师 is very common. I've heard it before. I didn't know how the character looked like until recently. Is 师傅, which means master. Usually that refers to a very skillful person. Any person who is very skilled in a certain area, we would refer them to as a master. It could be a teacher, it could be a skills marksman, it could be a skilled artist, a musician. We would call them 师傅. If you ever watched Kung Fu Panda, you would have heard 师傅.
Master Shifu, what do we got?
Let's make an example using Shifu. Teacher Wang's master is in China. Behind every good student is a good teacher, and behind every good teacher is another teacher, the master. So Teacher Wang's master is in China. 王老师的师傅在中国。王老师的师傅在中国。Next we have 夫, pretty simple character. It refers to man. So word examples using 夫, 丈夫 refers to husband. And this is a formal way to say husband. Another word example using 夫 is 夫人, which is wife. Again, it's the formal way to say wife. Let's make an example using 丈夫 and 夫人. 王老师的丈夫是一位作家。王老师的丈夫是一位作家。So what did I just write? Teacher Wang's husband is a writer. Okay, let's try another sentence. 李医生的夫人也是医生。她是 and I want the female part, so let's pick number 2. 她是If you remember from the previous episode, we met Dr. Lee, and we know that his wife is also a doctor, but she is a Western doctor. So Dr. Lee's wife is also a doctor. She is a Western doctor. In the previous episode, when I introduced Dr. Lee's wife, I said 李医生的太太. Here I'm saying 李医生的夫人. Both are introducing his wife, but this sounds a little bit more formal. 李医生的夫人也是医生，她是西医。Next we have 夫. Okay, so previously this was 夫, which refers to a man. 夫. Now we have 夫, which is a character representing married woman. 夫. So the first word combination is using both 夫 and 妇, 夫, which refers to a couple, husband and wife. A totally different word example using 夫 is 少. Shao we learned in the previous episode means little of you are missing. So 少妇. If you recall in the previous episode, I learned a word called 少女, which means teenage girl, young woman. So 少妇 also refers to young. In this case, is a young married woman. 少妇. Okay, let's make up a sentence and try and use 夫 and 少妇. 李医生夫妇都是医生，李医生夫妇都是医生。So what do you think that means? 李医生夫妇都是医生。Dr. Lee and his wife are both doctors. Here I'm using 夫妇 to refer to the couple, Dr. Lee and his miss, right? So it could be, in English, you could say that as Dr. Lee and his wife, or Dr. Lee and Mrs. Lee. Both of them are doctors. 王老师的学生是少妇。王老师的学生是少妇。学生 we learned in the previous episode means student. So what did I write? Teacher Wang students are young married women. 王老师的学生是少妇。Last character for today is 非, which means not or wrong or opposite 非. And I like the word 非 because I first learned it as a sound. 咖啡. Word example using 非. The first one is 是非. I never would have guessed, but 是非 means gossip. Another word example using 非 is 非法, which means illegal. 非法. Perhaps we should consider making 是非法. The third word example is 除非, which means unless or only if. Only if gossip was illegal, maybe the world would be a better place. Let's try and make a sentence. Gossip is not illegal unless you gossiped about other people. Anyway, that's just a silly sentence to try and use gossip, illegal, and unless. So gossip 是非 not 不 illegal 非法. Oops, let me correct that. 非 was this 非 and this 非法. Okay, that's better. Let's put the pinyin on first before we construct the rest of the sentence. 是非不非法. Gossip is not illegal unless 除非是 unless it's other people. So other people, I had to look this up because I haven't learned it. It's 别人的除非. A lot of 非 in one sentence. 是非不非法，除非是别人的是非. A lot of 非. Let's try something simpler and say 我不吃牛肉，除非是红烧牛肉。 singing on first and check that I've done it correctly. 我不吃牛肉，除非是红烧牛肉. So what did I just say? 我不吃牛肉. I don't eat beef. 除非 unless 是红烧牛肉 unless it's braised beef. Yes, that's the best way to eat beef. Maybe. So I've covered 7 new characters and a number of word combinations. 音乐乐标教师夫妇飞. Now it's time to try and combine everything together and make up a story. Try and use as many of these new words as possible. It's time for 作文. So here's a little story I made up. 这是我的作文 about Dr. Lee and his missus. They're both doctors. We now know that Dr. Lee's son is a musician, and I'm adding on more information about his son. He's also a teacher at a local secondary school. He teaches music, and his students call him Master Lee. At home, they're not happy unless there's music. Okay, so let's try and translate this into 中文. 李医生夫妇是医生，李医生夫妇是医生，李医生的儿子是一位音乐家。Oops, that's the wrong 是 not number 10. I want is 是李医生的儿子是一位音乐家，他是一位教师，在一家中学。他是一位教师，在一家中学。Okay, so I've said he's a teacher at a secondary school, but I forgot local. I want to say specifically local secondary school. So how do we say local? This is something we learned in the previous episode, which is 当地中学 local secondary school. He teaches music. 他教书 music is 音乐。他的学生教 now in this case 教 is the one with the call calls him 教他 Master Lee 李师傅他教书音乐他的学生叫他李师傅 at home so at home be 在家里在家里 at home 他们不快乐除非有音乐 Okay, let's keep singing and check back. 在家里他们不快乐除非有音乐。好，这是我今天的作文。李医生夫妇是医生，李医生的儿子是一位音乐家，他是一位教师，在一家当地中学，他教书音乐，他的学生叫他李师傅。在家里他们不快乐除非有音乐。That's it, folks. Hope you enjoyed learning with me in this episode. Let me know in the comments how you have used these new words in your practice of 中文. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next episode. 谢谢大家，下集见。